Hi, and welcome to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast, co-hosted by Abby Thiering, the Badass Breastfeeder, and Dianne Cassidy, IBCLC. My name's Abby Thiering. I write a blog called the Badass Breastfeeder, and I was a social worker for 14 years before I became a mom, and struggled a lot with breastfeeding, became very empowered through breastfeeding, and turned my social work advocacy into a blog and a breastfeeding community.
And I'm Dianne Cassidy. I'm an IBCLC, which is a lactation consultant, advocate as well. And I got into breastfeeding because of my children, the path I took with my kids, kind of like Abby, struggled and questioned and rallied for support and ended up kind of falling into this life of being a breastfeeding advocate. And we want to welcome you to the Badass Breastfeeding Podcast.
So welcome to episode 3. I'm Dianne Cassidy.
And I'm Abby Thiering.
And we are going to talk to you today about, we had decided on a couple great topics that we were going to do. We couldn't decide between, but we're going to do this week. I think we decided on tandem nursing, right? And
yes,
nursing,
and breastfeeding while pregnant, and tandem breastfeeding.
Yeah. So, and then next week for week 4, we're going to do extended breastfeeding.
Yes.
So I'm excited. In fact, I already told somebody that we were doing that, and she was excited because, well, we'll get into that after. But yeah. So welcome to pregnancy and breastfeeding and tandem nursing. And I would like to first kind of start off with saying that I still hear people tell me, oh, well, my doctor told me that now that I'm pregnant, I won't have enough nutrients for the growing baby and for the new baby and for the baby that I'm still nursing. So I should really wean.
Yes, I know. I hear that all the time. Whenever people tell me that they are, I talk about tandem nursing or whatever, and they post their comments are always like, oh yeah, well, I can't, my doctor told me I have to stop. And it's so much, this is another thing where I feel like, we talked last time about how doctors don't have, it's a matter of lactation education, and doctors don't have lactation education. And it's, it's true that like 50 years ago, they were saying that it's not safe, but since then we've learned that that's not true. But the doctors are just, they're not informed that way.
They are not.
And so all this terrible information gets spread around.
And I mean, it's already, I would think, a woman gets pregnant. I did not breastfeed while pregnant. So you're going to be a great one to speak to this. But I have worked with so many women who have. And it's never been a problem. There's never been a problem. And I can't imagine, knowing what I know about lactation and how much I've learned throughout the years. And my master's degree is in lactation. So it's like, I know stuff. It does not.
Yeah. You wonder, like, how could it possibly be unsafe?
Right. It's just common sense tells us, no, this is perfectly safe. And whenever a mom tells me, I was told not to, I was like, but why? I don't understand why. And nobody asks why. Nobody says to their provider, why can't I still nurse? I don't understand. Right. So now she's got to have the overwhelming feeling of needing to wean when she's not ready.
Right. Yeah. And people are told, well, they're going to take all the nutrients away, or that's, you're not going to have enough, nutrients to grow your newborn, your fetus. It's not, I mean, it's what everybody's told. People don't ask why. And if you do ask why, you get these questions. I had somebody tell it to me in a really, really great way. And so people are first concerned that all the nutrients are being taken away. The other concern is the uterine contractions that breastfeeding can induce. And so somebody told to me, a lactation consultant to me in a really like logical way. She said, if you have not been told not to have sex, if you've not been put on that type of restriction, then there's no reason why you should be put on a breastfeeding restriction, because it's the same. Like an orgasm and a lactation uterine contraction are similar.
Right.
And they think it's going to induce a miscarriage. Well, do you have sex?
Right.
Are you having orgasms while you're pregnant? Because I sure did. And it's not, that doesn't cause a miscarriage. It just doesn't.
No, it does not. And that's a great way to put it. If you are not on any kind of restriction sexually, then why should you be on a?
Yeah, and I would say if a woman has such a high risk pregnancy and the doctor said you cannot have sex, you need to be, and put all these restrictions, well then, maybe you should talk to a lactation consultant about, the safety of it in your particular situation. But that's a really extreme situation.
Yes, it's
not your average pregnancy.
It's definitely not. What I usually tell moms too is, by the time if you are breastfeeding while pregnant, your child, most likely that you are breastfeeding, isn't breastfeeding 12 times a day. Most likely.
Yeah.
Right. There's meals mixed in. They're not getting their sole nutrition from you. So for one reason, that's not logical at all that they're going to take everything from you. It is just really bad information.
Yeah. And I had another person say, put it in a great way as well. She said, do you remember how you felt when you were pregnant? Do you remember how shitty you felt? Like, yeah. Your body is going to take everything it needs to grow the baby. Like you felt that way because your body was working so hard to grow this baby. It's going to grow the baby no matter what you do.
Oh, absolutely.
Like you can't stop it from growing your baby. Like, there's all these things that I can't eat pineapple. I can't, no, your body is not listening to those things. Your body's like, I'm growing this baby. Mm-hmm. I'm not worried about any of this. And you feel so tired and you feel, at the end of your pregnancy, like you're like so exhausted. It's because your baby has gotten so much from you.
Right. They're sucking the life out of you.
Right.
But they need you to survive.
Well, exactly. And then your breastfeeding while you're pregnant is not going to affect that at all.
No. It's definitely not. And I personally think it's such a great way to bond with your child while you're pregnant and preparing that child for another life.
Yeah, that was a big thing in our house. Like my son was 3 years old he was like a little over 2. Cause he was almost 3 when my second son was born. But so he was math, he was like 2,
Yeah.
Got pregnant and he's like such a sensitive little guy. We knew that like bringing in a new child was just going to be, it was going to rock everyone's world. And I wasn't about to, I said, this is like the perfect way, to keep something consistent, something nurturing, something solid and grounded for him. And, he even, I wanted to tandem nurse before I even got pregnant. Mm-hmm. So I remember seeing, like I had Jack and I had all these problems with breastfeeding and then I was successful and I was so happy and I thought, well, I'm not going to, stop it now. And then I saw this amazing picture. You've probably even seen it. It's really famous. Famous. I mean, it's, it goes around the internet. This woman is in a tub. It's also she had a home water birth. Mm-hmm. Another reason why I had a home water birth was like this photo did everything. And she was holding this newly born baby and she was tandem nursing in the water with her newborn baby and her like older child, like 4 or 5. And I was like, oh my God, that is the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I want to do that. And so, I was like, oh my God, our bodies are so incredible. And like breastfeeding can be whatever you want it to be. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So then I got pregnant and then, and it's not, let's say it's safe. It's, it's all these things. It helps a lot of things, but it's not for everyone because there are some things that go on, in the beginning when you're pregnant and your baby or your toddler or whatever is nursing, it really hurts.
Yeah. That is one thing that I've heard a lot. If you can get past that, you're okay. But for some women, it's too much.
Yeah, right. And and I can see how it's too much. And like, don't feel guilty. Don't whatever. If it's too much, then it's too much. And it's okay. It's okay to tandem nurse. It's also okay not to,
Absolutely.
And when I got to like probably like 16 weeks, and the pain started to go away a little bit, but then my milk started to go away. And my son was like, maybe not that he wasn't that, he stopped nursing so much. He was like maybe down to like once or twice a day. And I was freaking out. I was like, oh my God, no, I planned a tandem nurse. Oh my God, he's going to wean.
He will tandem nurse. He likes it or not.
Like, come on in the rocking chair. Don't you want booby? And then around, I don't know, towards the end, maybe like 7 or 8 months, nursing aversion set in. And that was something I'd read about. And I thought, I don't know, I didn't have any way to relate to the way that people were explaining it. And when it was actually just one day where it hit me. And I thought, oh my God, this has to be it. Because it was the most bizarre feeling ever. And it was horrible. And I still deal with it because he turned 6 and he still nurses to sleep at night. And I still have to like get myself through it. So it's not fun, but it's one of those things that evolves. It kind of goes in through phases and, but so, tandem, it's like it's a real journey. It's not all beautiful pictures of, women in birthing tubs, it is that. Yeah. But it's also hard, really hard as, it's breastfeeding. So and parenting. So it's hard.
Yeah. And it's definitely like a very individualized decision. But there are some really cool benefits that I have seen with my families that go along with tandem nursing. One that I heard, and I don't know if you can speak to this or not, but I did have a couple of moms tell me that it really, because of, the hormonal interaction and everything that's going on in your body hormonally with being pregnant, that it keeps sickness at bay. And I thought that was a great little thing. I don't know how true that is, but I have had several say to me, oh my gosh, this is great. I'm still nursing and I'm not sick at all.
I think, that's awesome. I will say I'm not that sickly of a pregnant woman. So in the beginning I felt nauseous, but then, things kind of tapered off after that. But I can imagine if you're like I didn't do the whole throwing up thing, which I know a lot of women do.
Yeah. I was never like that either.
If that would be amazing to feel that kind of benefit from nursing.
Yeah. And how quickly the milk comes in.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh yeah. So I said that Jack like stopped nursing so much. Yeah. Well, here comes the milk. And then he was just like, then he couldn't stop. I think he just was like, this is the greatest thing ever. And it's like colostrum too, which I guess is like sweet or something. Really like he went crazy. I was like, oh my God. Yeah. Okay. You need to cool it a little.
But it comes in so fast. So now we're not worried about that new baby and the weight loss that everybody freaks out about. And that feeling of engorgement, have that, or that fast letdown, have the older child take care of that for you.
Totally.
It's great.
Yeah. And I actually, I went into it. I thought, well, I'm just, here I am. I have 2 boobs and 2 kids. This is working perfectly. Everyone just, pile on and do as you will. And I actually did, with Exley, my second son, I did have a little bit of weight gain issues in the beginning. I mean, not me. I'm really good at gaining weight, but Exley, he wasn't gaining weight in like the first few weeks. And so the beautiful thing about the second time around is that I knew who to call and I knew where to get help. And I did. I called my friend and she was like, okay, well, let's just try a few things. What are you doing? Who's getting which breast? And I was like, what do you mean? It's just whatever. It's not great. She's like, no. She's like, you can tandem nurse. Tandem nurse is going to help you. It's going to be great. You're going to all this milk. It's going to be fantastic. But make sure the baby is getting the full breast. Make sure you're putting the baby on the fullest breast, and then put the toddler on the one that's, the latest one. And I was like, oh, okay. And I did that, maybe like a couple other things, like some kind of like, massage thing, breast compressions, whatever.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, those are great.
And he gained like 70 pounds in a week. Oh my God. I mean, I'm exaggerating. He was like, he gained like twice as much as what the average baby gains in a week. And I was like, whoa, okay, we fixed that problem.
Yeah, it's like, stop.
Very simple with just a little bit of logistics. She's like, just pay more attention to who's going where, and it totally worked.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
So it's a very, it's totally simple thing. And I think when Exley did come and my first son was hitting the ceiling and I was like, oh my God, we broke him. What did we do? He was able to nurse and come to me, and he was able to like be nursing at the same time as his new brother, and they could look at each other, and he would reach out and like touch him, and he's doing this thing, he was 3 by now and he doesn't know much about the world, but he knows breastfeeding, and this new brother of his, he's over there breastfeeding too. Mm-hmm. And like, I just think like, it's so kind of like, I don't know, magical in a way of just like that. And there's like, it's like a way that they're like communicating to each other.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm doing like, I'm this new guy, he's doing what I do. And, it was just a way for them, everybody to kind of stick together and for them to kind of get to know each other. And, adding a new family member is rough.
It's very rough. But
it definitely, having him be able to have that, continue that, I think helped a lot.
And I think, too, to be able because I think, like you said, 3-year-olds don't really know a lot about what's going on in the world. And I remember, when I had my twins, my son was only 2. It's a difficult transition for everybody. Yeah. And for me, I know I felt like, oh my gosh, here I was for 2 years spending every waking moment with this little boy. He was always in a backpack. Yeah. We were always together. We went everywhere together. And now I'm introducing these 2 brand new babies. And I think if he were still nursing, that would have been easier on me even. Like I could have still had that special bonding with him. I could have still had that special time with him. And I'm really sad that we weren't tandem nursing. And I didn't know. Well, I don't even know if you can call it tandem nursing if you have you have twins and a toddler. But I would have done it. Let me tell you.
I'm sure you would have. That would be quite a dance. Like, okay, you stand in line. You're next. You're next.
Oh my God. But
like
it's
a little
that rotation. Bonding, that mom child, and it just that connection so that everybody knows it's going to be okay. We got a little transition going on here, but we still have this place where we nurse and everything is good.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And then you go on and then it goes on, it goes on for me, I've been tandem nursing for 3 years now, and it goes, it just keeps going.
Yeah.
And they do, and they know, I got to the point in the beginning. Oh, here's another thing that I think is important with this. Like we said with tandem nursing, it's okay to do it. It's okay not to do it too. And then because, breastfeeding while you're pregnant is a lot. Breastfeeding too is a lot. Mm-hmm. And a lot, you can get touched out really easily.
Yes, you can.
And I don't have a lot of regrets. Well, I have a ton of regrets, but as far as breastfeeding, I one of the things I do regret with the breastfeeding stuff with my first son is not introducing some boundaries before his brother got here. Because I was just like, okay, I breastfeed on demand. Whenever you need it, I'm here. Because, I'm a parent of 1. So it's like, that's okay. Nobody else needs me. But then when my second son came, and I'm breastfeeding this newborn, and yeah, they breastfeed all the time. And then here comes this toddler. He wants to breastfeed all the time. Plus, he's having a whole emotional reaction to his brother coming. And I was like, oh my God, I need to create some boundaries for him. And so then I was doing it during this whole transition. And so I wish I had done that first. And that's what I would only say to a mom who's thinking about tandem nursing is practice some of those boundaries beforehand so that your child's not surprised when you're like, okay, when you say no, not right now, or you need to wait, or, 2 minutes and time is up, and all these ways that you can kind of help them, that you can help yourself have a little bit of space.
And I think that's a really good point.
And I'm getting to the point with my 3-year-old where I'm doing more of that too with both of them. Like I'm just, like this air traffic controller. Like, okay, let's bring this one in. No, you go, you're off. You go this way, you go that way. And, but you need that for your own body.
Right. For your own sanity, for your own, just everything. And that is a really good point. I don't think that gets brought up very often.
No, it doesn't. And because people are always like, I don't know how to, I want to wean. And I'm like, okay, well, certainly you can wean if you have to. But do you want to wean, or do you need some space? And do you need to figure out how you can get some, some of your sanity, some of your person, some of your body back when you need it? And because I don't think, because we're just taught, because, it's kind of like in the beginning, it's like breastfeed on demand. It's, that's the best thing to do. But that does change. I mean, at some point, you don't need to do that anymore. Once your child is, I don't know, what do you say? How long does breastfeeding on demand a baby need to do that?
I feel like breastfeeding on demand is really important the first 2 months. 2 to 3 months. And I don't think you should stop breastfeeding on demand because, of course, every baby's different. So some of them still really thrive like that, but then some of them end up kind of getting into their own little routine of sleeping and eating, and especially if mom goes back to work, and then they are really more regimented. So I think it's really if they're feeding on demand the first few months especially, then that's great. If they keep going like that and it's working, especially when you're at home with them, that it's a lot easier to feed on demand when you're home with them.
Yeah.
But I find that moms always seem to get into some kind of routine once they go back to work, or even just for their own peace of mind. But
yeah. And I think probably if breast milk is still solely the main nutrition that your child is getting, then, breastfeeding when your child is hungry is obviously important.
Yes.
If they're, toddling around and they're eating sandwiches or, little apple slices, whatever, then, they can have a drink of water or whatever if they, if they're hungry and you need to have some space.
Exactly.
Exactly. So, and then I think, like I said, I wish that I had done that earlier. And because I guess I thought, because you get so into breastfeeding, and then I'm like, I don't know if I just didn't need to. So I'm not going to do it if I need to. But I think, I wish I'd done that. Anyway.
I had a mom who was tandem nursing, did fantastic. In fact, the baby just was turning a year this summer, and her other one, I think, is about 3. But I remember being over there when the baby was newborn, and she was able, I don't know if she set up these boundaries early on or if it was just something that kind of evolved, and she would, the toddler would say, oh, I want to nurse too. And she'd be like, wait till let your sister nurse first and then you can And it was fine. She was really okay, just kind of went and did her own thing. So I don't know if it could very well could have been something that they discussed early on, and kind of put into place where this is how it's going to be. So let's talk about the elephant in the room of how society feels about tandem nursing.
I haven't seen a ton of, I think as when it comes to tandem nursing is kind of coupled with the views of the older child. Then it's like, well, why does the older child need to do that? You're spoiling them. And then comes all the misinformation. Well, he's taking all the nutrients away from the baby. And, all of this stuff.
I feel like too, that it's not put out there. I think it's a secret.
Yeah,
I really do. And I think you probably see a lot more of it because everybody knows how open and vocal you are. So it is there. People are so comfortable saying to you, yes, this is what I'm doing. Can you give me some guidance with it? I get those little emails saying, I want a tandem nurse. Nobody really knows too much about it. I'm not quite sure what to do, but I really don't want to wean my child. What do you think? It's just it's a secret. And and I'm always,
it's one of those things that you don't see.
You don't. No, you don't.
You don't see it. So people are like, oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to be doing this. And even if they're, it's like the thing with when you go to the doctor and the doctor says, well, you shouldn't be doing that. And then so moms kind of become these closet, even without tandem nursing, if they are breastfeeding beyond infancy, they kind of become closet breastfeeders. Mm-hmm. And if they, then if they bring another baby into it and they're tandem nursing, then now they're a closet tandem nurser. I think you're right. People just kind of stay home, or even logistically, I think I tandem nurse a few times in public, but it's not as easy to do that out if you don't have a chair and some pillows and some, it's kind of hard to if you're nursing them both at the same time, which I actually stopped doing. I can't have both of them attached to my nipple at my breast at the same time anymore. My head will blow off. Yeah. It's like it's too much. It's like too much of the sensation or the aversion, or I don't know. I can't do it. So it's like one at a time in my house.
Yeah, and I don't think that's
no, it's one of the boundaries. Right. It's one of those boundaries that I needed for myself. And they just, they didn't like it at first, or especially my older son. And that's the other thing is like, some kids are fine. I'd be like, no, you need to wait. Maybe they're fine with that. My kid was not fine with that. He flipped his lid for like 5 months before like he could really, and still at this kid just turned 6. It was only within the past year that he really stopped harassing me during the day, because I got to the point where I was like, I can't. It's just he's so big, and he would latch on and I'm like, oh God, this feels so uncomfortable. And so I just was like, it doesn't feel and I just told him. I said, it doesn't feel comfortable to me. You're big and it doesn't feel comfortable. Like I'm not doing it right now. And he kind of stopped finally after a couple of years, stopped asking me during the day. So you really, when you're creating the boundaries, it's not going to be like overnight.
No.
It's going to take him some time.
Right. But just like any other boundary you're going to set with your child.
Right, exactly.
It doesn't come overnight. There's a lot of work involved there.
Yeah.
And a lot of decision making. And it's not something that you can go back and forth with either. There's the decision has to be made.
Yeah.
So do you think it would be worthwhile to bring more awareness to the tandem nursing? Because it's not out there.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what I hope that I do. I try to bust some of those myths about it and, share the images with people so they can see it. I mean, how that image that I saw changed so much for me. I mean, really seeing things can totally change your perspective on things. So, I think I think it really should be brought as an option to moms.
I think it definitely should be an option. And I'm sad for those moms who just wean when they're pregnant because they feel like they need to wean. I have had a lot of moms come to me and say, I want to wean because I want to get pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Thinking that they can't get pregnant if they're still breastfeeding. And it's so important to them to have another baby right away that they want to wean before even a year so they can get pregnant right away again.
Yeah.
Which isn't necessarily the best thing for your body anyway to get pregnant back to back like that. But it's you don't have to. There's options, there's choices, there's education involved in this, and you definitely don't have to do that.
Right. And it can take a little bit longer, but I mean for me, we started we had been trying for a while when I finally got pregnant, but I knew that that it might take a little bit longer. And if you're not, it also is like, when is your, some women don't have a period for like 2 years. Mm-hmm. So you don't know, your body is like, you're right. Your body is in transition and you need to give it like a little bit of a rest. And we wanted to have kids like, kind of close together, but my body needed to heal for a while and my mind needed to heal.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's what I always tell people too. It's like, I wanted my kids close in age, but I didn't plan on 3 and 2 years, which I do not recommend to anybody because that is a lot. It's a lot to do. Even now, I have 3 kids that are pretty much the same age. It's hard.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah.
It's hard. It's nice to have them close, but
Right. It's a lot.
It's a lot for sure. So I hope if anybody has questions on tandem nursing, we would love to hear from you. We would love to hear your stories on tandem nursing. Feel free at any time to go right up onto Abby's Facebook page. Email us. Give us your email again, Abby. The
badassbreastfeeder@gmail.com.
Email us, thebadassbreastfeeder@gmail.com. Tell us your stories. Talk about being pregnant while you're breastfeeding. Any of that you can relate to. We would love to hear it. We would love to hear your stories about it. And
I would love to share them with the badass community too.
Yeah.
To bring more awareness to it.
We need to do this for these moms, even just to educate just to educate them that there are choices, there are options. Because like I said, I had no idea. I wasn't in lactation when I had my kids. I had no idea that was something that I could do.
Yeah.
Just, before Google came along, or when Google was just starting. So,
Yeah.
But stay tuned for episode 4 next week when we are going to talk about extended breastfeeding, and we will see you then.
Bye.